Awesome. Item collection is done. Now just need to implement the UI. Just need to open up the CaretCountLabel class. Find an instance of the inventory. Get the number of carrots. And then update the label. Great, now just test it out. Nice. What's that warning in the update method? Expensive method allocation. What does that mean? Right on time. Hey, Barles. Hey, Charles. As always, you've got some great timing. Uh-oh. What do you got going on? Don't worry about it. I don't want to take up your time with another problem. Oh, no, man. I actually really enjoy helping you out. I'd be more than happy to take a look at whatever you're dealing with. Really? Well, thanks, man. Here, let me share my screen. All right, so you might recognize this project. Oh yeah, this is that prototype you've been working on. Yep. So far I have this little sheep that you can move around the scene. And now you can collect carrots. Nice. And I see you're updating the UI too. Yeah, that's actually what I was hoping you could help me out with. Really? Seems to work just fine to me. Well, it does, but my code editor is giving me a warning that I don't really understand. Oh, okay. Here, let me see what it's saying. Sure. So I have this class called CaretCountLabel that's responsible for displaying how many carrots are in the player's inventory. Okay, I can see that it grabs a reference to a TextMesh Pro text component and then performs some logic in the update method. Right, the update method searches for the inventory in the scene and then uses it to set the CaretCountLabel. I think I understand. Let me guess, is Ryder warning you that your call to FindObjectOfType is too expensive? Yes, how'd you know? Well, Unity has a few built-in methods that are known to be costly. And that includes all of the find methods. Oh, shoot. Is there some way I can get a list of those expensive methods? Actually, yes. Right-click on that method and click on Show Context Actions. Okay. Now expand the inspection option and click on Why is Ryder suggesting this? Sure. Oh wow, this is exactly what I was looking for. Yep. Now, I highly recommend reading through this documentation, but if you click on the Calls to Find Methods link, you'll see that the recommendation is to call these methods within your awake or start methods, and to cache the result in a private member variable. Okay. Go ahead and switch back to your code editor, and I'll show you what it looks like. All right. First, add a private member inventory field called Inventory. And then initialize it inside of await using FindObjectOfType. And now you can replace the local inventory variable in your update method. Nice. That was easy enough. Yeah, just a couple of lines of code and you've solved your performance issue. And not only that, but you also exposed the CaretCountLabel class's dependency on inventory. Dependency, huh? I've heard you and Jason talk about that concept a lot, but I don't know if I really understand it. You think you could walk me through it? Sure. A dependency is when one object relies on another in order to function. Okay, so in our case, inventory is a dependency of CaretCountLabel, right? Exactly. CaretCountLabel relies on having access to an inventory in order to display the caret count. That makes sense. But how does that relate to what we did? Well, before we refactored, your code was hiding its dependency on inventory inside of your update method. But by moving inventory to a private member variable, we exposed that dependency at the class level. Oh, right. Because before you'd have to read through the update method to know about it. But now it's pretty obvious. Yep. And not only that, but now you can use dependency management techniques to resolve that dependency more effectively. Uh-oh, this is starting to sound a little complicated. Don't worry, it's actually pretty simple. Dependency management refers to how your classes get access to the objects that they depend on. In this case, we're using FindObjectOfType to grab an inventory from the scene, but there are other ways to do it. Oh yeah? Sure. In fact, you can actually break these techniques up into two groups, internal resolution and external resolution. Internal resolution is when a class resolves its own dependencies internally. This can be done by creating new instances of objects, using factories, or one of Unity's built-in get and find methods. So pretty much what the CaretCountLabel class does. Exactly. CaretCountLabel uses internal resolution. External resolution is when a class's dependencies are resolved externally by another object in the program. This can be done by exposing dependencies on a class's constructor, public fields and setter methods, and on serialized fields through the Unity editor. Okay, so when would I use external resolution? Well, it really just depends on the use case. Take the inventory, for example. Let's say you wanted to use the inventory class to hold the items of NPCs, like enemies or shopkeepers, as well as the player. In that use case, using FindObjectOfType wouldn't work for you. Oh, right, because there'd be multiple inventories in the scene, and I wouldn't be able to guarantee that I'd get back the players. Exactly. So you'd have to resolve the inventory field externally. For something simple like this, I almost always recommend using a serialized field. Gotcha. So I could just add the serialized field attribute, right? Yep. Cool. Alternatively, for use cases where you can't use a serialized field, like if the inventory was loaded dynamically, you can always usually get away with creating some sort of initialization method that acts like a constructor. Why not just use a constructor? Well, you can for plain old C# classes, but model behaviors actually don't support constructors. Huh. Yeah, now that you mention it, I can't recall ever seeing a constructor in a mono behavior. Yeah, that's just a quirk of working with Unity, and a topic for another time. Fair enough. Now, there's just one last topic I should mention, and that's dependency injection. Have you heard that term before? Yeah. Isn't there a popular framework that does that? Ah, shoot. What's it called again? You're thinking of XTENJect. Yes, that's the one. Right. So another word for external resolution is dependency injection. XTENJect is a dependency injection framework that manages all of the dependencies across your entire project. Wow, that sounds pretty awesome. It can be, but I tend to caution developers to really understand how XTENJect works before using it. Because while it can be useful, it can also overcomplicate projects that don't really need dependency management solution that sophisticated. That makes sense. I'll be sure to read up on it, definitely. And I have a series of videos on it as well. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll check those out too. Awesome. Don't forget to like them too. Always, man. Well, this was really helpful. Thanks for taking the time to explain all this to me. Yeah, no problem. It's one of those topics that every developer has to deal with, but not many have the language to describe. Right. I've done all of this before, but I just didn't know any of it had a name. So I definitely feel more confident. Exactly. That's the goal. Well, man, I gotta go, but I definitely want to see some progress on this game. I'm really liking how it looks. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'll get to work and I'll definitely hit you up later. Sounds good. Later. Bye. Thank you to all of my patrons, and a special shout out to Dark Rush Photography, Dustin, Glasswell Entertainment, Joe DeZole, Nav from Academy of Games, R-Star, Sindra Sami, Thomas, Trond, Yusuf Alakassel, Yakub Al-Safari, and Iron Alex. Thank you guys.